Hello and welcome to AWS Certified Solution Architect course. In the previous video, we have prepared the setup for Elastic Load Balancer. We created two instances with Web Server 1, Web Server 2 and installed web services on both instances, that is IIS, and we modified the security group with and added port 80 to the group, that is test SG. We added port 80 for web access, and now in this video we'll configure the load balancer. So now let's click on load balancer and I'll click on create load balancer. So there are two types of load balancer: application load balancer and classic load balancer. The difference between these are the classic load balancer work at transport layer. So they just make decision on the type of traffic, that is HTTP or HTTPS, and it was present in EC2 Classic as well as its VPC. Now there's a new load balancer, that is application load balancer has been introduced, and it works at application layer. So how it differs from classic is it reads the path which has been requested, and it can route the traffic according to the path of the requester. So this is how we differentiate. In this demo, we will go with the classic load balancer. So we'll give some name to this web ELB. I have given the name. Create load balancer. Inside we have only one VPC, that is default VPC. So we will create it inside the default VPC. Create an internal load balancer. So internal load balancer means it will route the traffic within the VPC. The traffic will not go outside your private network. So this is not the case here. We want the users from internet to send their traffic and get the response from the EC2 instances through load balancers. So we will not check this. Enable advanced VPC configuration. So this is not required right now. The load balancer protocol will be HTTP port number 80. It will be configured. Now let's assign security groups. So we will assign security group which has this port 80 enabled. So we created some security groups for EC2 instances, test SG. Let's check if the test SG is having port number 80 open. Yes, it is having port number 80 open. So we will select test SG. Now it's done. Now configuring health check. Okay, so in this window we have ping protocol HTTP ping port 80 ping path index.html. We will just remove this and make it just this root. Response timeout is 5 seconds. That means if the load balancer will not get response within 5 seconds from the instances, the request response will be timed out. And interval means after 30 seconds, as if you see this configuration, after 30 seconds it will again try to pool for the instances. So let's reduce it to some 6 seconds. Unhealthy threshold means 2. If there are 2 response, load balancer is not getting response consecutively for 2 times from the instances, it will mark it as unhealthy. And for marking an instance healthy, it need 10 successful responses to mark the instances as healthy. So I'll make it as 2, in both the cases, either healthy or unhealthy. If the load balancer is not getting response from the instances, consecutively for 2 times, it will mark it healthy or unhealthy. And interval will be 6 seconds, response timeout will be 5 seconds. Now let's add the EC2 instances. So we have two instances that are running. Let's just enable them. Now the other thing is enable cross-zone load balancing and enable connection draining. So cross-zone load balancing means if there are two availability zones, then we can launch our instance. We can spread our instances in two availability zones, and it will if one of the availability zone goes down, our this requests will be taken care by instances in other availability zone. So this is the benefit of using cross-zone load balancing. Another option is enable connection draining. So when some user makes a request to ELB and ELB will direct that request to a particular instance, and suddenly what happens, that instance goes down or some instance stops responding. So it is not good to fetch that request from like and direct to the user that its service is not available. We can just drain that request to other instance for, and there is certain time defined here, like 300 seconds, from which it can be drained from one instance and it can be given to another instance. Now the next thing is key and value. So let's give some name to this elastic load balancer. Now review and create. So all the details are looking good. We'll just hit on create. Now the load balancer has been created successfully. Let's see the parameters. How are they reflecting? 0 of 2 instances in service. That means I think the instances are, the checks are going on the instances. So let's wait for some time so that both the instances are in service. Now if you see the status of ELB is 2 of 2 instances in service. That means both the instances have been marked healthy by the ELB and both are showing in service to load balancer. We can see CloudWatch alarms as well with different matrices. Listener is port 80. Now let's see whether this ELB is functioning well or not. So before that, let's go and browse both the instances and see whether they are looking good or not. So we'll just go with web server 2. It's showing the IS default page, web server 2, and in web server 1 we have put some image, some custom image, so that should be shown. Yes, so these two web servers are showing different images. Now we can check whether this is working through the ELB or not. So we will take the DNS name of the ELB and we will go to ELB. Now this is showing the first web server which was having the custom image, but that image is not getting loaded properly. It may be due to some regions. However, let's do one thing. We will just stop one of the instances. We'll stop this particular instance and see whether the load balancer is redirecting the traffic to web server 2 or not. I will go to web server 1. I'll just stop the instance. Now if we go to ELB, we will see that only one of the instance will be in service. Yes, see the only one of the two instance is in service. Here also we can see the web server 1 is out of service. Now if we browse this ELB URL, the web DNS name of ELB, it should point us to the second web server. See, it's taking us to second web server. So this is how we can configure an elastic load balancer in AWS. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.